every day. Ladies and gentlemen, I am hustling. I went out there and was able to sell some scrap computer parts, bringing me in an extra $140, looking for anything I can to keep an income coming in. But more importantly, enjoy the weather. It is a beautiful day out there, and I wanted to keep healthy, wanted to go out for a little bit, took the dogs for a walk, enjoyed the sun, took my mind off all the insanity, and hopefully you are as well, but only to deep dive back into it today, talking about maybe a pending real estate collapse. I want to talk about the earnings that are going to be coming up this month, and on top of that, I want to talk about some stocks that are coming up on my watch list that if I see a big decline, they might go on my buy list. So ladies, gentlemen, I look so forward to breaking this down for you, so let's jump right into this.
Drop it.
Welcome back, my passive income investors. Before I get into the crazy stock market news and some individual stocks I want to bring up on your radar, I thought it would be important to touch base on the pending recession in the real estate market, especially here in Canada, where a condo that only has 500 square feet could have been sold for something like $600,000. That is probably not something that is going to continue in the future, considering we're already seeing a slump in real estate prices.
We will have a, what we call a recession, but really it's a health crisis.
Economists predicted real estate would be strong in 2020, but they're being forced to change their forecast.
There's going to be fewer sellers in the market, but there's also fewer buyers as well, right? So you have the lower buying, lower selling activity in the market as households sort of sit back and buy, in many cases, not by choice.
That's because of job insecurity. Thousands of Canadians are out of work, and that uncertainty is putting real estate dreams on hold.
I have advised my clients who do live in their properties that this is not the time to list. Even though we are in the spring market when most people do want to list, and this is statistically the most active time of year, we are just going to hold tight until people can start going out of their homes and doing tours.
I made a video a little while ago talking about the pending collapse in the real estate market, primarily due to the fact the government was really stretching themselves on increasing the limits you could pull out of your RSP. They were also allowing benefits to first-time home buyers outside of your RSP, and they were just stretching people farther and farther and trying to advise people to do it. And with interest rates at all-time lows, can the government do any more at this point? I really don't think so. So if things push even a little bit farther, I think we're going to go over that edge, which I do not think is a bad thing. A lot of people that own real estate are probably terrified, but the honest reality of it, guys, is things just went way too far. I didn't want to see the pandemic and the deaths. It's kind of the bittersweet moments of investing where it takes moments like this to get better deals in the market. It's going to be interesting to see where real estate goes, and I'm going to keep an eye on it. And taking a look at the S&P 500 today, there's a lot of looming questions on investors' minds about where the bottom in this market is, considering we've already dropped so far on some individual stocks. And could we go lower? Absolutely. But where I think we're going to see some leveling out is when we start getting these first quarterly reports come in, because that's when it's going to really sink into investors about the reality of the market. And then on top of that, we're going to see who gets shaken out and where everything levels off. Some companies I personally own that I will be paying attention to at the beginning of May, so a little bit in over a month from now. We're talking about Apple coming out with its earnings. Very exciting on that one. We got Facebook coming out at the end of the month. One stock I'm really closely keeping my eye on is going to be MO. Altria Group, the tobacco, the sin stocks, we're already seeing some leveling off in the MJ sector, considering they're seeing an increase in sales. And when people get worried, stuck sitting at home, obviously I think they're going to be loading the boat on these kind of products specifically. That's only based on past historical moments. Anytime we go into a recession, usually these are recession-proof companies because people obviously indulge in their addictions. I mean, here in Canada, the liquor stores are still open and are considered a essential service. So I'm going to be really keeping my eyeballs on MO, and I'm still picking up more shares of this. As many of you know, I reset up my DRIP, my share buybacks, and MO is paying out this month, baby. So let's hope we get some dividends. And then finally, we got the golden child of the stock market. We're talking about one of the greatest growth stocks in history right now, obviously Tesla. And this might be a good buying opportunity, in my honest opinion, for a company like Tesla. Now that nobody's got their eyeballs on this company, obviously auto sales don't usually do as well. For a company in Tesla's situation, that potential that it still hasn't gone anywhere. Obviously, everything's been put on pause, but that is just a buying opportunity again, in my opinion. I'm still holding these Tesla shares, and I'm excited to see how badly they are impacted, considering most of their factories have been shut down. Now, some stocks, not not the stocks that I've been personally analyzing to buy, but I'm still keeping a good eyeball, is now that the sinking in Carnival Cruise and the cruise line industry, airline industry like Delta, are really starting to affect investors. Even the most bullish investors I've been listening to are now starting to settle out their ideas on Carnival Cruise and Delta, considering they're not even letting boats dock anymore. They're literally telling these boats right now that you guys are stuck out at sea. You're not coming back. We're not letting you off the boats, and people are dying.
Stranded aboard the MS Zondam, now pointed for Florida, still looking for a port.
There are people on this ship that are sick. There are people on this ship that are much older than we are, and they're stuck in their rooms.
The Zondam is one of 18 cruise ships stranded at sea. The cruise line isn't saying how 4 passengers aboard died, but confirms cases of COVID aboard. None of the 247 Canadian passengers have officially been diagnosed.
I mean, that was a cruise a lot of people weren't expecting, considering there's even U.S. Navy boats that they're not allowing to dock, and they're trying to deal with people that are in the Army that are sick. So it's going to be really neat to see how investors start thinking about these companies moving forward, and, you know, how soon are people going to be lined up to get back on these boats? I mean, we could be talking about a good 3 to 5 year recovery before we see any major upside here. And like I said, I'm not against these companies or for them. I just find it such a fascinating thing to watch, considering I don't think the cruise line is going to be allowed to get bailouts, considering how much they've been dodging taxes. They're not like the most gleaming company in the government's eyes, so there's not a lot of good going for them at this point. And I know a lot of people were gung-ho about these. A lot of you guys might have been loading the boat, and I'd love to know about that in the comment section below. At some point, yes, I do think cruise lines will come back with a vengeance, but how soon is that? I couldn't put a timeline on at this point, but it's going to be neat to see where these things bottom out as well. The airlines, however, I think are going to come back with much vengeance, guys. When this blows over, people love traveling. I've traveled more than I ever have. My parents are traveling more than they ever have. I just think the airlines aren't as much leisure as they are becoming a necessity, obviously, as we see this virus spreading as fast as it has, due to how connected the entire world is. So this is like an essential service to some extent for society that is going to pick back up, in my personal opinion. Now, some companies I've been keeping my eyeballs on because I utilize them so much. I'm talking about Shopify. Shopify has been performing exceptionally well through this, considering from its all-time highs here, guys. It's only down roughly 20% compared to some other industries. It's been doing quite well, and I've been signing up, creating new Shopify stores, and they have extended their free trials to 3 months to the end of June. So, I mean, if you're interested in, I'm not here to promote them, but if you're interested in starting a Shopify store because you're bored, now might be the time with these free month trials, saving more than $100 over that few months, guys. It's going to be really neat to see if that drives in a lot of extra traffic, what it's going to do for the company over the long term. But I've been debating on buying this company for a while, and if it takes a major hit on its earnings, you know, honestly, I think it might be the next growth stock I add to my portfolio, considering this balance sheet is almost better than Facebook's, other than they haven't started accepting earnings yet. When we take a look, their total assets are around $3.5 billion with a total liability of only $500 million. And oh my God, guys, the growth rate on this company has been absolutely absurd, growing at a 50% click year over year. And they're mainly just spending money to continue the growth. So, I mean, whenever they decide to tap into that earnings, holy crud, they're going to be doing exceptionally well. The only problem I have with it right now is a lot of it is future potential, considering the market cap sits at something like $64 billion. I'd like to see it drop below that $50 billion mark, and this thing would become unbelievably attractive. But I'm going to keep my eyeballs on it. If I see a major decline, I might have to pick up just a couple shares in it. And I've been taking a look at some other internet stocks, because this is just the way the world's headed. It's the way I've been headed with YouTube and my online stores. Taking a look at something like GoDaddy, which is worth a lot less in market cap, but the PE ratio is through the roof. I'm not finding this one nearly as attractive, with a total assets of about $6.3 billion and a total liability of $5 billion. This company works on a different metric, obviously, and I love the digital realm, because all these digital assets these companies own, they don't require much maintenance or effort now that they're functioning. It's just servers and basically sales reps. So it's going to be really fun to see where these stocks go on their first earnings. It's something that I'm going to be keeping an eyeball on for sure. And in light of all of this, I would really love to know what stocks you guys are finding most interesting through this. Now, at this point in time, guys, the real interest comes into actually being able to buy any assets. I mean, this is going to be one of the greatest buying opportunities in history, and we keep saying that time and time again, even though most of us are probably losing our incomes. Like I've said here, guys, I'm hustling, selling any bits and parts, things I have lying around my house. I'm really going to be interested to see if I'm going to be able to get some of these government benefits come next Monday, and I'm still hoping I'm getting some payments from some of my canceled clients, but I'm still doing just fine here, guys. And I know Dave Ramsey's probably having a real field day with this, considering for the last decade, all he's been doing is ranting and raving about get rid of your debts, get rid of your debts.
Chris, the things that you and I have taught for many decades now, in that opener, are we kind of just used to them. You know, we live that way so long, we don't think about it. And times like these highlight how wonderful it is to be debt-free.
Yeah.
Highlight how wonderful it is to have an emergency fund. How wonderful it is to be in a position that I don't have to worry if my investments go down because I know they're going to come back up.
And if you have debts, I feel for you, but this is the situations where it's going to be a big learning curve. And even though I'm not making as much money, guys, I'm still doing all those little hustly moves to get that income to start buying and making these decisions today. We don't have as much capital, but any capital you're investing through the next few months, guys, I think is going to have way more potential going on the next few years. You got to remember, those little bits you invest today might have the potential to be worth 5-10 times more over the next 5 years. So now is the time, even if you can scrape little dollars together, start picking up your favorite stocks, because that's what I'm going to be doing. And I'm not trying to rub this in anyone's faces, guys, but these programs that are on YouTube with Dave Ramsey, with all these guys, it's a good learning curve, and it's something that I'm hoping a lot of people are going to smarten up to, because man, oh man, these are the situations where people, even though if they don't have a large income, they're not nearly as stressed and worried. And there's nothing more important right now, guys, than enjoying some of your time off. I mean, people are all freaking out and they're losing their minds. I understand the craziness of some individuals' scenarios, especially if you have family that is sick, people that are going through horrible situations, which is slowly starting to click in to my family life. And I'm starting to see this virus get closer and closer to home. And it is really fearing, but you got to get out and just kind of, zone out from it for a while, guys. Go out on your porch, get outside a little bit, walk the dog, stay away from people, but get some sun. That is what I am trying to do on this beautiful day, while also making this video for you guys. So slap a like, stay cool, stay awesome, and I look forward to chatting to you tomorrow.